Alright, I already tried recording this yesterday, but it was like 50 minutes, so way too long. And I ended up getting damage to my arm because of the way I was positioned. So we're gonna speedrun this and yeah. Alright, Pokemon, Secrets of the Jungle. I did not like this movie at all. So here is my review and rewrite of it. First, I will be going over the character designs because that is what you initially see. Then I'll be giving a brief overview of what happens in the movie, and then I'll be listing the changes that I would personally make to the movie to be more enjoyable. Please note that these changes that are made are personally my own choices. They are very subjective, very opinionated, so please do not get too offended if you do not agree with these choices. Actually, if you don't agree with these choices, then please leave your own choices down in the down in the comments, because I would love seeing what your guys' opinion is on this. So first and foremost, character designs. Which ones I liked, which ones I didn't, and what changes I would make to make them more enjoyable. First one, Coco. I adore Coco's character design. I love how he mimics the Zaroods, and I just generally love Coco's character design so much. It's probably one of my favorite Pokemon character designs. Ash. Ash's character design is alright. The outfit's okay. It's very Ash, which means it's definitely not my style, but you know, it's Ash's style. So I think they got that pretty well on. The only comment I have about Ash is in this movie he was weirdly pale. It kind of reminded me of the days in Indigo League where his skin tone would just change from randomly because I guess, I don't know, coloration wasn't as good back then and consistency wasn't as good back then. So the only thing I would really change to Ash's design is make him more tan, because in recent years at least they've been very good about making him specifically tanner. So he kind of looked sickly to me when he showed up really pale. It was weird. Okay, the Zaroon. The Zaroon I have the biggest complaints about. They just don't look like Pokemon in this movie. And originally I thought it was because their color scheme was too dark. Now, with things like Pokemon, they usually have a very specific color scheme that they go with, so that way it looks like a Pokemon. But in this movie, they didn't really follow this color scheme. And when I looked it up, I actually figured out that no, the color scheme was not too dark, because I found some Pokemon official art where the color scheme was way darker, but it looked more like a Pokemon. So actually, in the movie, the colors are way too soft. Instead of having a blue-based black, they have a brown-based black, which generally gives it a softer undertone, which is interesting and very weird that they would give it to a Zarude, which is seemingly supposed to be a very intimidating Pokemon. Another thing, in between the two tufts of fur on their face, you can see a bit of their head beneath. And their head is completely rounded, giving it the illusion that, you know, they're kind of bald. So basically, adding just a little tuft of fur back there would generally make it look more appealing and not like they have a receding hairline. And now for the last one. The Zaroots are like shaped like a tube, and that's really weird to me. I know a bunch of other Pokemon are also shaped kind of tubular, but it just doesn't fit for the Zarude because, again, they're supposed to be very intimidating Pokemon. So for them to have that kind of body shape just doesn't fit in with their nature. So giving them a more defined waistline makes the design much more impacting. And of course, the animation was just drop dead gorgeous. It was amazing. It was very dynamic. I very much liked the animation. I think the animation was beautiful. And now, with the hopefully brief overview. I have memorized this 2 times. I'm hoping I can do it a 3rd time and make it much quicker. So first, we start off with the Zarude song. It's basically them chanting this little song that they have in their community. I never paid attention to it. I tried to. I couldn't. And they do this little song and a little dance while terrorizing the other Pokemon, basically showing their strength. Now, main Zaroon, which is Dad's Zaroon basically, notices these pink sparkles and follows them. Now, I didn't realize this the first time watching it, but I'm pretty sure these pink sparkles are actually celebi, which is interesting. But yeah, so by the way, the celebi in this is pink. They didn't show that till the end of the movie, so I was very caught off guard when it was a pink celebi. But yeah, so the pink sparkles lead to this baby, and this is baby Coco. So the Zaroon takes Coco back to the other Zaroons. Well, okay, not before throwing the baby, but you know, that's just a sure sign of good parent. Throw your child, everyone. Throw them. So yes, Dad's Zaroon brings back Coco to the other Zaroons. All the other Zaroons are fighting for some reason. I don't really get that, but yeah, they're fighting. And they stop their fighting to look at Coco, and they're like, "What is this foul creature? Get it out of our sights. You're not allowed to bring a human here." Elder Zaroon comes in and is like, "It is our rules of our troop that you may not bring anyone except a Zaroon in, because they all live near sacred waters that are basically healing waters that only Zaroon are able to use." So, Dad Zaroon and Coco are kicked out because they broke the law, basically. And now we get a freaking another montage. I hate the montages in this movie. The music, it wasn't the worst, but it definitely wasn't good. So, basically in this very easy to miss montage, by the way, because I ignored it the first time I watched it. I missed a lot. So, you know, maybe that's on me, but I don't know. So in this montage, the first note I had was, do I have to watch this? Which I did in the end, so screw me. But basically, one of the most important things this shows is the Zaroon ends up finding a broken down lab, and he finds a picture of Coco and his parents. And that's the most important thing in this whole montage. And this montage, I think, was like 2 minutes or something. So, now, 8 minutes into the movie, we get a familiar voice. We get Commentator Man. And he's basically saying, Ash is on another adventure. What else is new? Let's go see him. And Ash is on the phone with his mom. His mom is like, oh, Ash, I'm so worried about you. And then Ash ditches his mom. So now cut back to Coco. Coco's much older now. I believe Coco's supposed to be 11, which is very weird to me because that means he's technically older than Ash. Because when he was a baby, he could walk, so I'm assuming he was around 1. So, yeah, that's just an interesting point to point out, I guess, yeah. So, Coco has found some wild berries for them to eat, and it stupidly says, calm down, the berries will wait, they're not going anywhere. You just slow down. Sir, you are in a jungle. Are you kidding me? The berries are not going to wait for you. You are in a jungle. This is the wild. And guess what? The berries didn't wait for you. The berries have been all taken. And all the local Pokemon are angry because it's the Zaroons that actually took the berries. So they invaded on their territory, even though the local Pokemon can't invade on their territory. So Coco finds like a few berries that are okay enough, and he decides, hey, we'll plant some back near home. So that way, the Zaroons will never be able to take them because they don't want to get anywhere near us. And Dad Zaroon is like, oh, that's such a good idea. I never thought that gardening existed. And so they take some of the berries. We're back to Ash now. Ash sees a Pokemon. It's this weird bird thing that terrifies me because I'm scared of birds. So Ash sees this bird Pokemon, is like, I want to catch it. So he goes off to catch it, and the bird ends up eating Pikachu. But Pikachu is able to break 3 with Thunderbolt. And, of course, Team Rocket is stalking Ash, as always. And they actually looked really good in this movie, I won't lie. After Ash tries to catch that Pokemon, he meets a scientist lady named Sharon, which I conveniently, in my notes, named Bad Nerd Lady. So, very good commentary skills, I know. So, Her team is not her team, but the scientist team is basically testing the local waters because they have a small sample of the healing water, the Zarood's healing water, and they're trying to find it again so they can get more healing water. Because it would be like a evolutionary, or not evolutionary, scientific. So James pulls out his iPad and does more research on the scientists, and they're like, ooh, we want this healing water. I assume it's to steal their info and give it to their boss, but whatever. They just want to know more about this place. So we're back to the Zarood, and the Zarood, Coco plants the berries, and the Zarood crushes up one of his vines to make fertilizer. So this is Zarood magic. I know it's technically not magic, but it's technically just a Pokemon move. But I like to call it Zarood magic, and it basically has the power to both grow and heal. And only, according to Dad Zarood, only certain Zarood can use it. So that's actually an important point. So through seeing this, Coco wonders, hey, when will my vines finally grow in? Because Coco thinks he's a Zarood because he's been told he's a Zarood his whole life. These thoughts get interrupted when what's the Pokemon's name? What is it? Squavet. I believe it's Squavet anyway. Squavet comes and is like, hey, there's a local Pokemon fight. Help us. So Coco goes to break up the Pokemon fight. One of the Pokemon fighting is a Flygon, and Coco notices one of its wings is badly damaged. Squavet decides to throw Coco under the bus by throwing a berry at the fight, and then he blames Coco. So Coco ends up leading Flygon to the healing waters so Flygon can get healed. After Flygon flies away because he's all healed, Coco gets caught by Anger Issues Zarood and runs away. During their runaway, you can see that Coco actually has makeshift vines made out of rope. So that isn't really important to the story. I just thought it was nice to mention that he made his own, and it's kind of very cute but also sad. So basically, Anger Issues Zarood is like, you've intruded on our territory. You're not allowed to do that. Only Zaroods are able to do that. I forgot their name. Only Zaroods are able to be here. And Coco retorts with, yeah, well, you've been intruding other people's territory, so that ain't really a fair argument. And Anger Issues Zarood is basically like, yeah, well, we're Zarood. We're the strongest in the jungle. We're allowed to take anything we want. Anger Issues Zarood ends up catching Coco, and I believe is about to throw him off. I don't remember what he was about to do. But Dad Zarood comes in. He's like, hey, don't hurt my child, please. All the other Zaroods also come in, and Elder Zarood is like, Coco, you're not allowed to be here. Please leave. So they leave. So now, Coco and Dad Zarood end up getting in a little argument, but it kind of boils down to Coco being like, I just want to help all the Pokemon in the jungle. Zaroods aren't like that. Zaroods only care about themselves. If they only care about themselves, then I'm not a Zarood. I don't even look like a Zarood. I don't even know what I am. Dad Zarood tries to assure him, you are a Zarood, but it doesn't end up working, and Coco runs off. We get a minor flashback to Coco helping a very hurt Rufflet, and that flashback ends. So now we're with Coco. Coco is still having an identity crisis and decides to swing around just to blow off steam while he's like venting to himself. During swinging, he swings right into a metal pole, gets brain damage, then drowns. Luckily, Ash is here to save the day. And he rescues Coco. Now we're back to the scientists and Team Rocket. Team Rocket now has a job there, and the scientists are all congregating. This is also where they meet the boss, and he's like, we're so close to finding out where the healing waters are. We just need a bit more time, and it'll all come together. Everyone is essential to this plan, so everyone, please be on your best behavior. Team Rocket is not on their best behavior, and they are basically told, okay, fine. I know you don't really get the rules around here, but there's one rule you need to follow. Never go into the boss's room. It's very off limits. So immediately Team Rocket's like, oh, hell yeah, we're getting into that room. Cut back to Ash. Ash has brought Coco to, I believe, the Poke Center. Through my years of watching Pokemon, I'm pretty sure the Poke Center isn't only for Pokemon. I'm pretty sure they've also had people in there, so I don't know. So yeah, they're in there, and Coco gets very scared by industrialization, and he tries to swing away on one of the lights. He ends up getting property damage, but it's not his fault. Coco ends up making an escape for it, and Ash is like, whoa, you're so cool. You're like swinging around. You're walking on all fours. You're so cool. And Coco escapes, and I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but this whole time the Zaroos have just been talking plain old English, and so I thought that they were legendary Pokemon this whole time, but no, 24 minutes into the frickin' movie, they finally reveal that the Zaroos have not been talking this whole time. They've just been saying Zarood, because Coco is now just saying Zarood, so Coco can only speak Zarood. But yeah, that was kind of an angering revolution that I've been wrong this whole time. So Coco ends up staying in the middle of the road and almost gets run over by a car, but Ash saves him and they hold hands for like a minute. This isn't just a random point I'm making, this is actually like an important thing. One of the local Pokemon end up getting scared by the car slightly off-roading because they didn't want to hit a child, and runs off from its trainer. Ash decides to chase after the Pokemon to basically help it out because he doesn't want anyone else to get injured, and he doesn't want the Pokemon to get injured. The Pokemon about to crash into some people, Coco ends up protecting the people and stops the Pokemon. But then Coco realizes, ah crap, humans, what are these things? And he runs away again. Specifically runs away from Ash because Ash is just chasing after him this whole time and he's very scared. Coco is stopped in fear when he sees people returning their Pokemon into their Pokeballs and is very, very confused. Ash shows Coco a Pokeball and Coco licks him. Hey! But then I guess Pikachu's like, y'all are too rowdy, and he electrocutes both of them, which seemingly calms Coco down, I guess. Coco ends up talking with Pikachu, and Ash is like, whoa, you can talk to Pokemon? You're awesome. My name is Ash. And, he repeats Ash a couple times. And then Coco mimics Ash by saying his name, and then does a little happy dance because he's figured out Ash's name. And he's basically speaking a new language, so. And now we get... Oh, and then they hold hands for a little bit again. But now we get another frickin' montage. Can you tell how happy I am about these montages? This one probably has the worst song by far. I hate this song so much. The montage itself isn't actually the worst, it's mainly just the song. So in this montage, Ash dresses up Coco in like the worst outfit ever. I get that this is a very Ash outfit, but I hate it with all my being. Ash buys Coco some ice cream. Coco tries to imitate Ash by walking on two legs. He doesn't do this throughout the rest of the movie, but I just thought it was kind of cute that he's just like, oh, you're walking on two legs, let me try. Nope, I hate this. So, yeah. Coco and Ash, they go to like a little music festival together. They end up dancing together. Very cute. I feel like that's all my descriptors are going to be, is just cute. But whatever. And then Coco gets to watch his first Pokemon fight. So now it's the end of the day. Coco and Ash are watching the sunset together, and Coco hears a local Pokemon cry and goes to investigate. Basically, there's supposed to be a fireworks show today, but a bunch of local Pokemon are not letting it happen. and the people running the fireworks show are very angry at the local Pokemon, and they don't know what to do. So Coco talks to the local Pokemon and figures out one of them is trapped inside one of the fireworks. So Coco and Ash save the local Pokemon, and now the fireworks finally start. The mayor goes to thank both Ash and Coco, and briefly mentions Celebi. So Celebi hasn't been around for a while, which is to entail bad stuff will happen, so, you know. Not very subtle, but yeah. It's a kid movie. It shouldn't be subtle. But yeah, basically Celebi kind of left because the peace was broken or something like that. But yeah, so while Ash is talking to the mayor about Celebi, Coco notices a bunch of families around and is reminded of Dad Zaroon. So he takes Ash into the jungle to meet Dad Zaroon. Dad Zaroon meets up with them and is very angry and basically is like, "Why have you brought a human in this forest? Why are you speaking human language? You are not human." And Coco's like, yeah, I am. Humans have compassion for Pokemon. I've always been different from others because I have compassion for Pokemon. I don't even look like a Zaroon. I look more like this guy than I look like you. What am I? I know what I am. I'm a damn human. Why didn't you tell me? And the Zaroon's like, you are a Zaroon, but it doesn't work. He's like, you're a tiny Zaroon specifically, so rude. But basically he's like, fine, I'll show you. And so they go off to do something. Back with Team Rocket is able to find out that there was an accident 10 years ago. But they aren't able to investigate any further because more information on it is only accessible through the doctor's PC. Cut back to Zaroon. Zaroon shows Coco and Ash the lab. And gives Coco the necklace he was wearing as baby and the picture of his parents, and then Zaroon leaves. Cut back to Team Rocket. Team Rocket is able to make a key, but they have very limited supply, so they're only able to make one. And then that bird from before comes back and basically eats the key. So, yay. Cut back to Ash and Coco. Ash just straight up mentions his father, which confused me because I thought his father was not in his life. I mean, he isn't at this point, but like I thought like throughout his whole life his father wasn't there. But basically he's like, yeah, people used to bully me for wanting to be a Pokemon trainer, but my dad supported me, and I could tell that you and your dad are like that, and I could tell you guys are going to be fine. And Coco ends up deciding, I want to figure out who my biological parents are. And through searching around the lab, they find the logo for the people who have been experimenting on the water. Oh damn, where am I? Oh no. Where am I in my notes? Oh no, I haven't been looking for a while. Okay. So now cut back to Dad Zaroon. Dad Zaroon is sulking, and the Elder Zaroon comes and is like, hey, coincidentally, Celebi left like a little bit before I found you. And Dad Zaroon is like, what, it's my fault or whatever? And basically this is where Dad Zaroon is like, I never had parents. How could I think I could be a parent? Which isn't, I mean, you could be a parent without having parents, but you know, whatever. Angst. And then we get, again, the flashback of Coco helping the Rufflet. Coco wants to bring the Rufflet to the healing waters, but the dad's like, no, I will not allow it. It is far too dangerous. So Dad Zaroon uses the magic from before and heals the Pokemon. And he says that the move drains your life force, which you'd think would be important later on in the movie, but it is not. So it was kind of not necessary to add in here. And then after this flashback, he stupidly takes off the cape he's been wearing this whole time. So now I can't tell him apart from the other Zaroon. I get that it was supposed to be symbolic of something, but it's just stupid. I can't tell who he is now.
we have a very short montage, which I actually very much like this montage. It's like the only montage I really like. Because one, it has instrumental music, and two, it's just, again, cute. It's basically Coco and Ash helping out some of the jungle Pokemon while they're trying to get out of the jungle. And so now Team Rocket is trying to lure out the bird with Pokemon food, and they notice Ash and Coco are at the lab, and they're like, oh, what are they doing here? Ash has set up like a meeting with the doctor, and the doctor immediately recognizes Coco's necklace, and Ash brings out the picture of Coco's parents and are like, hey, these are Coco's parents. Do you know where they are? Do you know who they are? Stuff like that. And the doctor is like, oh, these people actually used to run the lab, and they were the ones who were able to get our healing water sample. The doctor ends up calling Coco Al, which I guess was his given name, but I don't think Coco's too thrilled about be calling Al. I wouldn't be either. But yeah, so they do a little scan of his necklace, and they officially confirm that this is Al. And the doctor sadly informs them that Coco's parents died 10 years ago. And so basically Ash has to like explain to Coco what has happened, because Coco can really only understand Ash because they're very close. Apparently the lost data was in Coco's necklace the whole time, so they got back the data, and they bring up a picture of the healing waters. So Coco is very confused. The doctor is like, Coco, you can help us. You could be the one to help us all. And so Coco was like, nah, and he leaves. And Ash tries to go after him, but Coco ends up running away from Ash. Coco goes to the waterfall and is basically like, why were they showing me those pictures? Why did they have pictures of this place? He basically went there to, one, have an identity crisis, and two, to try and figure out why they had pictures, because the whole time, the only person he ever understood was Ash, so he was very confused why those people were talking to him. So Ash is trying to follow Coco into the jungle. Coco finds a chip on his shoulder, which Coco doesn't know what that is, but, why would he? The doctor ends up coming in with, like, a bunch of scientists, and they have a robot. And it's, like, way too clunky, and it keeps knocking down all these trees and stuff like that. And Coco realizes, I have been tricked. And so he tries to fight them and scare them off. But the robot ends up, it has, like, little grabbers, and it grabs Coco. Then Ash comes in, because, Squavit ends up telling Ash, like, hey, he's over here. So Ash comes in and saves Coco, but all four of them end up getting kidnapped in the back of a truck. And, yeah. So Team Rocket has been here the whole time, because they're part of the science group. I don't know how they got here, I'll be honest. But yeah, so they're here now. And Team Rocket has two decisions to make. Either one, they steal the truck and they finally get Pikachu, or two, because the bird is here, either they let Pikachu and the others go and they get the key. So Jessie is like, we'll get Pikachu another time. We only have one chance to get this key. So they decide that the key is the right option. Cut back to Zaroon. Dad Zaroon and Anger Issues Zaroon decide to team up to fight the robot. Cut back to Ash. Ash is able to break Pikachu's bonds, so Pikachu can now use Iron Tail and gets them all free. Pikachu is trying to break out of the truck, and James conveniently opens the door for them. So Pikachu is launched out and is launched into the bird's gullet again. Pikachu thunderbolts the bird, and Team Rocket is able to get the key because the bird spit it out. And now, freaking Coco finally takes off that stupid outfit. I was so happy when this happened. I hated that outfit. That was like the worst outfit ever. So Dad Zaroon and Anger Issues Zaroon are fighting. Dad Zaroon ends up getting hurt, but before he can get like badly hurt, Coco ends up flipping the doctor off his stupid bike. It's not actually a stupid bike, but I just don't like the doctor, so. And then Pikachu saves the Pikachu ends up saving the anger issues Zaroon from getting flattened. The doctor decides to finally reveal his true plan this whole time, that he wants to destroy the tree so he can get all the raw magical energy from the tree, so all the healing things from the tree. So he launches off like missiles or something. I think they were missiles, yeah, or rocket launchers, one of the two. And he badly damages the tree. He doesn't destroy the tree, but he does badly damage it, so that's important. At this point, all the Zaroons are like, we need to fight together. We're gonna band together and stop these stupid humans. And Dad Zaroon is like, no, we can't do it. So he's the only Zaroon that's not on board. All the other Zaroons leave. And Coco is about to leave, but then Dad Zaroon is like, leave, take your friend with you, leave this place. There's no way we can win. And Coco says, no, I am staying here for the jungle Pokemon. The jungle Pokemon will not be hurt under my watch. So Coco ends up leaving. We cut back to the flashback of the Rufflet again. Yeah, that's been an ongoing thing here. So the Rufflet's parent ends up coming to come get the Rufflet, and the Rufflet attacks Zaroon. Even though Zaroon is very big and strong, it still attacks them. So this is kind of like a lesson that no matter what, a parent will always protect their child and stuff like that. So through this flashback, Dad Zaroon decides, I will fight in order to protect Coco. So at this point, the doctor finally shows his insanity, basically, and is like, So at this point, the doctor starts showing his insanity, and it cuts back to a flashback of him arguing with Coco's parents. Apparently, Coco's parents figured out that the Zaroon were, like, the waters were theirs, and they were like, oh, we want to suspend this investigation as to not harm the Zaroon. We'll, like, figure out how to do it later, but for now, we cannot harm the Zaroon. And Scientist's guy is like, we've worked so hard. How could you do this for stupid Pokemon? And the parents are like, Pokemon are what keep the world running. We need to respect Pokemon. So we cut back to Team Rocket currently. They are in the doctor's office. Okay, that sounds weird, but yeah, it's the doctor's office. And they find a video from 10 years ago. And the video is basically the doctor just going batshit crazy. And he's having a meltdown, and he's like, my way is the right way. They all need to see it. We've done this for so long. How could they do this? If only those people weren't around. I'm gonna make them not be around. So then it's revealed, if not from that obvious breakdown, he straight up murdered them. Like, he hit and run them. So he hit them with his car, I believe, after, like, trying to force them to give him the information. And their car ends up catching on fire, so they are badly injured, cannot move, and they're basically about to burn to death. So they send Coco down the river. I assume it's so the local Pokemon might help him, but I don't really know. I mean, I guess it's better than burning to death. So yes, they burn to death, and Scientist Guy's like, yes, my plan worked! I can finally be the, like, ruler of this operation. So, yeah, he just straight up murdered them. Everyone's like, what the hell? Why would you do that? That's cruel! What the hell? So, cut back to Dad Zaroon. Dad Zaroon ends up banding together with the wild Pokemon after giving them a speech about Coco. And he's like, we need to work together for Coco. And, like, all the wild Pokemon, of course, love Coco. So, of course, they're going to do this. It'd be weird if they wouldn't. So, yeah. So, Ash, Coco, and the Zaroons are all fighting together to try and stop the doctor and the doctor's machine. Dad Zaroon comes in with all the jungle Pokemon. And apparently that Zaroon song that they've been singing this whole time actually had meaning to it. It apparently spoke of a Zaroon that would eventually band together all beings, so like reunite all beings. And so now the jungle is all band together to fight against this greater evil. And the Zaroods are like, oh crap, we've been wrong this whole time. And they realize the error of their ways. So the doctor ends up getting overwhelmed by all the Pokemon and people fighting him, and he decides to make the very rash decision to kill Coco. So he tries to basically murder Coco. And so Dad Zaroon steps in and saves Coco, but gets badly injured himself. And he also ends up ripping off the arm of the robot in his anger, so that was nice of him. Coco now needs to go to the waters in order to save Dad Zaroon. All the Zaroons and Ash continue to fight while Coco's off and away. Because the tree is badly damaged, the healing properties of the water are not strong enough to save Dad Zaroon, so after a really weird speech, honestly, Dad Zaroon croaks, and we get, I think, the final flashback of that freaking Rufflet storyline. So Dad Zaroon is like, Coco, no matter what, I will always protect you. No matter who's in my way, I will always protect you. And Coco says, I will always protect you. And the Zaroon kind of laughs about it. He's like, oh, but you're so small. Again, just insulting his son's height, I guess. I don't know. And they basically have a bonding moment because Coco's like, I will always protect you. So we cut back to Coco, and he tries to use that healing move. That healing move that Dad Zaroon used a while ago. And Coco is, for some reason, able to do this. I don't really get that, but I don't know. I guess it's supposed to be a cheerful moment, and now Dad Zaroon is A-okay. The jungle Pokemon all help Pikachu destroy the control panel, so now the robot's basically useless. The doctor tries to run away. He ends up running into Coco. Coco chases him around, trying to basically attack him because of all he's done to him. The doctor decides, I'm not going to win this. I'm just going to jump into the river and kill myself, I guess. And Coco catches him and he's like, nah, you ain't doing that. So he leaves the doctor dangling for future authorities to get back. So now the fight is over. All people and jungle Pokemon are now helping replant the jungle. Coco is reunited with Dad Zaroon. They're sticking together. Apparently that nerd lady from before, she's now a hero for some reason, even though all she was like is, don't kill a child. I guess that makes you a hero. I don't know. So the Zaroon end up coming in, and they are all able to use that special power that Dad Zaroon said that only a select few. Apparently, they weren't able to use it before because of their ignorance and they're not want to help others. So, they learned their lesson, I guess, and they help regrow the jungle. At this point, it's when Coco realizes, I am both Zaroon and human, and he has like that realization, no more identity crisis. Good for you, Coco, I'm very proud of you. So Dad Zaroon's still there with Coco, and basically Ash is like, hey, I'm gonna have to leave. I have to continue on my journey. It's been nice meeting you. So they have like a hug goodbye. I believe they hold hands again, and Coco's like, you are my friend. So that's very touching. So Coco turns back, and his dad just straight up abandoned him. He left. So Coco goes to find Dad Zaroon, and Dad Zaroon is like, hey, we have an invitation to finally join the other Zaroons. And Coco's like, oh, I love the Zaroons, and I would love to be a part of this, but I want to go on a journey. I want to help Pokemon and people bond together. So after that very cute, lighthearted speech, guess what Dad Zaroon does? Verbally abuses him. He's like, what the hell? This is your family. We finally get an opportunity like this, and you're just gonna abandon us all? And basically Dad Zaroon is like, kind of disowns Coco. He's like, leave now. You're not a part of this anymore. So basically very mean for no reason at all. I mean, you never have a reason to verbally abuse your child, but like, definitely not this. Coco ends up crying and running off to the nest, where he grabs his bag, which he has packed for his adventure, and he goes off to see Ash. Yeah, he goes off to see Ash. He basically tells Ash, oh, I'm gonna go on a journey just like you. He ends up tripping and like spilling all of the things in his bag. So Ash helps him pack up again, and he finds the berries that they planted before. And he's like, I didn't pack these. So then the Zaroon have like a whole water show for Coco, I don't know. And all the Zaroos are there to say like goodbye. And Dad Zaroon makes a very heartfelt speech. It's very adorable. It's very cute. It's very heart-touching. Inside his head. So Coco doesn't even hear it. They just stare at each other for like a minute. And I'm so mad at Dad Zaroon at this point. I don't like him anymore. So now Coco goes off on his journey. And Zaroon freaking takes off the cape again. So now I can't tell him from the others. I'm just angry. I don't care that it's supposed to be symbolic. It angers me. Cut back to Team Rocket. They're all like eating at a cafe, and they see the news report of this guy getting arrested, and they're all like, yay! So apparently they're the ones who called the police. You know, Team Rocket may have kidnapped children in their white van, but they say no to murder. Murder is bad. So yeah, good life lesson there, Team Rocket. Ash ends up calling his mom, and he's like, yeah, I just missed you. I just wanted to talk. And now we cut back to the jungle. This is the last scene. And freaking the pink Celebi comes back. The last 30 seconds. And again, I mentioned this before. I didn't know the Celebi was a shiny. They never showed a picture of the Celebi. It's just a pink Celebi. And I got so confused. So Dad Zaroon's like, man, it's about time he showed up. And then they pan to the cape that he's been wearing this whole time, that apparently had Celebi on it this whole time. That, like, that's supposed to mean something? I don't know. I didn't care at that. At that point, I was just angry. So I guess it was supposed to be symbolic that he was the one to bring Celebi back, but I didn't care. It was just a cape. It didn't mean anything. So, yeah, and then that's the end, and then we get, like, a bad credits scene with bad music again. The music in this was just not good. The instrumental was good, but not this. So, now that the overview is done, hopefully it wasn't as long as before. It is only 43 minutes. Okay, I can deal with that. Honestly, I could deal with that. So now it is time for the changes I would make. Okay, so first I'll start off with the changes I want to make to the Zaroons. 1, don't make Dad Zaroon so freaking abusive. Like that whole end thing where he's like, leave! Get out of here! How dare you abandon us? That didn't need to happen at all. Like he could have just been like, okay, Coco, I will always love you. And then they could have done the freaking water show with like him actually saying the speech at the end. Like that would have been much better. That would have been a better ending than him just like verbally abusing his child. Another thing. He keeps the cape the whole time. I didn't like that he took off the cape. I get, again, it was supposed to be symbolic, but it annoyed me. And I couldn't tell him apart from the other Zaroons when he took off that cape. And another thing. His personality was, like, really weird in his dynamic with Coco. Because originally I thought he was supposed to be, like, Mafoon from, Soul Eater. How he was supposed to be very stoic, but he is still very caring and sensitive and stuff like that. I thought he was going to be that kind of character. But no, it's like, at some point, he's just either angry or, like, really excited, and it's very weird. That it's, like, not a parental dynamic. It's just like I don't know how to properly explain it, but it's just really weird. So, yeah, I would rather give him, like, a Mafoon. I hope I'm saying that name right. Mifoon? I don't know. But I would give him that kind of dynamic. And for the Zaroon themselves, 1, they kind of had like a human civilization feel. And that was weird because they don't interact with humans. So I'd rather give them, I know they're technically monkeys, but I'd rather giving them something like a lion kind of thing. Because like they do like, he's kicked out of their freaking troop or whatever. So I would rather give them like a line dynamic so it, one, seems more animalistic instead of human, and two, it just makes more sense. I don't know. It seemed like they kind of had like a religion or something. I don't know. It was weird. And also, some points of the movie, it seemed like the Zaroon couldn't understand Pokemon and humans, but then at some points they could, and it was weird. So I would make it so the Zaroon cannot understand both other Pokemons and people. And Coco is the only Zaroon that can understand Pokemon because he's basically lived and interacted with Pokemon. So that never made sense to me because like they don't communicate with other Pokemon. Why would they know why would they understand them? So yeah, I believe that is my... Oh no, there is one more. So the main Zaroon, Dad Zaroon, has really weird speech. Like I don't know. I think it's just the voice direction or like the voice coach or whatever. But it was just really weird at times. Like here's a clip.
Oh no. How do I?
I'll be all right. Everything will be fine. Really, you don't have to make that face. I'm sorry. I was a failure at being your dada. Now there you go again, making that face.
Why are you still talking like that?
Yeah, that's a clip of him freaking seconds away from death. So it's just really weird. So, talking about his speech, I don't like how he calls himself Dada. It's weird. I don't know. So, basically, what would have made a more impacting thing is throughout this whole thing, he would have called himself Coco's parent or Coco's guardian instead of Coco's father. Because father, parent, and guardian all have different levels of closeness, whatever. And he would call Coco his child or the child or something like that. So basically, at this dying speech, he can finally be like, here's an example. Here, a very, very melodramatic example. I don't know. Is that what that word means? I don't know. He would be like, I'm sorry to make you cry. Coco, thank you for being my son. Thank you for letting me be your father. See, I had more emotion than he freaking did. Oh no, I just touched the wire. No, I'm sorry for that. Yeah, that was not good voice acting, but you know, at least I had emotions. Instead of like, oh, don't make that face. Don't make that face, baby. So yeah, I would have just made him, throughout the whole time, call himself more like, not standoffish names, but, you know, like, less intimate names, I guess. And then at the end, he would be like, you are my son, I'm your father, thank you. So, that kind of thing. So, yeah. Another thing I would change. Limit the montages. Out of all the montages, I only really liked, like, 2. And the montage was always with, Ash and Coco. I mean, besides the music in the first Ash and Coco montage, I generally was okay with those montages. All the other montages I was freaking annoyed at. And, like, you could have used that time to, like, build more things up. Because a lot of time was spent on, montages. So, less montages, please. And less with that music. Oh my god, the music was so bad. The lyrics, mainly. Pokemon has always either had, you know, like anime music or specifically rock music. So it was really weird to hear these like poppy songs. It was just bad. I didn't like it. It did not feel like Pokemon music at all. And Pokemon doesn't really... It always has like either rock or anime music. So it was a weird thing. I would have rather Coco was the one to introduce the Zaroon song. Because when the Zaroons are just screaming it in your face, it's very hard to follow along, and it's also very intimidating, and you just kind of try to block it out because you're terrified. So having Coco, like, while helping some of the local Pokemon, or just, like, while walking in general, just for him to be cutely singing the Zaroon song without, like, any instrumentals in the background, just him singing along, it would have been much more impactful, and you would have actually, like, listen to the song. I don't know, maybe that's my fault for not listening to the song, but I did not like the song. This is a very big one that I wanted to happen, that I thought was going to happen, but then it didn't. Coco should have been the one to bring the Pokemon and the humans and the Zaroon together. It would have made more sense, because even in the movie, like, when the Zaroon is, like, banding them all together, he uses Coco. He's like, Coco is the one! Coco! Coco! So it was just weird that Zaroon was the Zaroon to bring them all together. I don't know. I felt like it would have been a lot more impactful if it were Coco, especially since the song talks about a Zaroon, and Coco is both Zaroon and human. So it would have made sense, I guess. So yeah, I would have rather Coco had been the one to unite everyone, and for the dad to just have helped Coco. Because the dad could have been a part of it too. Like, it didn't just have to be the dad, it should have been the dad and Coco. Another thing, when Coco uses the power, it was very weird. It didn't make sense. I thought it was supposed to be, like, emotional and he finally learned how to use it, but just logistically did not make sense. So what should have been happening, and this is what I thought again was going to happen, and then it didn't, and I was very angry, was Coco should have been, like, should have been crying over his dad and have been, like, trying to use the power, and then Celebi should have freaking came along and, like, helped Coco use the power. And so Coco was, in fact, the one to, both bring back Celebi, and also is the one to save his dad. And then after that point, if Coco wants, or if the movie wants, Coco can still use that power. Like, Celebi granted him the power. So, and then Celebi would have been a more impactful part of the story, because adding Celebi in the last 30 seconds, not a good move. Honestly, I was just like, what the hell is this? I was just very angry. You couldn't really tell from the way I explained it, but Pikachu was barely in this movie at all. Like, I'm pretty sure the squirrel, what's it called? Squirrel? Not Squirrel. Squavette. I'm pretty sure the Squavette had more screen time than Pikachu. So, just generally more Pikachu. The only time Pikachu ever got really any action was when he was getting eaten. That one time he talked to Coco. And the last fight. That's basically all the Pikachu screen time you got. It was very weird. Oh, and when he broke out of the van, but it was still counts as being eaten. So, less of Lady Scientist. I didn't like her. That's a personal opinion, actually. I just found her annoying. But, you know, this is all kind of about personal opinions. Team Rocket, I originally said that their lines were kind of weird, but actually watching it the second time over, their lines weren't too weird, so I'm just going to skip that. I also said the parents needed to be more emotional, but I think it was actually, watching it again, I think it was better that they were so silent. So, because they kind of just were, like, accepting their fate, and they were just, like, sending their child off, hoping their child would be safe. So I think the silence is actually more impactful. Another one, I don't like Coco's new outfit, the one that Ash gave him. I get that it's supposed to be reminiscent of Ash's style, but it was ugly. And I mean, some of Ash's outfits are actually, like, pretty cute. So why couldn't he just be dressed like that? Come on. You didn't have to give him the ugly orange outfit. Come on. What's another one? Oh, this one. This is probably my biggest one. So, remember how I said 24 minutes into the movie, I finally realized the Zaroons were not speaking English? One way to do that is in the beginning, when the Zaroon are terrorizing the Pokemon. You should have added a human in there, so you could get the human perspective and see that the Zaroons are just saying Zaroon, 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 instead of them legit talking. So, a human should have wandered into the jungle, they found the Zaroons, they got scared off by the Zaroons, but you could still hear the Zaroons are saying Zaroon, Zaroon, Zaroon. So then when they switch over to English, you can tell, oh, this is just like a dubbing of the Zaroons. That would have been like a lot more helpful, so that way I didn't think they were legendary Pokemon this whole time, because some legendary Pokemon could just straight up speak. So, So yeah, that's basically my last point. I hope you enjoyed this. This is my first commentary, so one, sorry it's so long, and sorry it's so clunky. I'm trying my best here. But yes, I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye!